Hello and welcome to the Exceleration podcast. This is episode 6. In this episode we have a problem. Our little SumIf function up here that's supposed to be telling us the total sales for a given date is not working because here on the 18th it says our total sales are $1,500, but if we come down here to the 18th we clearly see that that is missing one of the sales that happened that day. So something is broken. We have to know that these figures over here were entered by hand, and thus we suspect that somewhere where a proper date serial number should be, somebody made a typo and accidentally entered text. So we're going to look for some ways, we're going to look at some ways to check to see if that's the problem, and more precisely identify where the problem is in our list here. So the first thing we're going to do is to give ourselves some room to work. We're going to come up here. I'm going to hit Shift Spacebar to select the row. Holding down Shift, I'm going to go down 1, 2. I'm going to type Alt H-I-R to insert the number of rows I just had highlighted. There, that's a little nicer. We've got some space to work. So the first thing I'm going to do is the simplest and not really the most useful, but it's nice and quick. We're going to do an isNumber tab to start that guy out. So rather than entering a single value, I'm going to enter a range. Hold down Shift and Control, press down, Control backspace to go back where it was, close parentheses. So if I highlight this guy and hit F9, we will see that, let's see, true, false, there's one false, and I feel like there should be another, oh, there's another false. I feel like it because I constructed this, so I know where they are. But you don't, so you have to keep watching if you want to find out. I'm going to hit Control-Z to go back out. And so we've got that, which is kind of useful, but we need one little last component for it. We're going to do an AND, open parentheses, and close parentheses on this side. What this is going to do is this part in here is going to deliver a bunch of trues and falses, which you just saw. What this function will do is it's going to look at the array that this thing just generated, and if they're all true, then this will deliver a true. If any one of them is false, it will deliver a false. So we're going to do Control-Shift-Enter because this is an array formula. Click. And false. Oh, these are not all numbers. Somewhere in here is a culprit. So that's good, but that's not that helpful because we don't really know where it is. So let's take this one step further. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do an equals match, down tab, that out. What we're going to search for is open parentheses, asterisk, close parentheses. And what this does, this is the asterisk is a special character which is a wildcard. This can be any character, it can be any number of characters, and that could include the null string or the non-character. So essentially what this is going to do is this is going to search for any text of any size containing anything, even nothing, which is basically going to be anything in here that isn't a number. So the lookup array, I'm going to click here, Control-Shift down arrow to select the whole thing, Control backspace to get me back where I was. The match type, always forget, match type, or don't always forget, always remember the match type should be 0 for an exact match. Close parentheses, and enter. Okay, so we now know that the problem is in line 16. So, okay, there it is. And sure enough, if you double click on it, you will find that, oh, there's a space in front of the date, which makes it not work because Excel doesn't know how to understand that. Enter. Okay. So let's quickly fix that and oh, it knows it's a date, but oh, look up here. We found another problem. So not only is this still false, so there's still at least one thing in here that isn't a number, we know that we have another one down here. Well, rather than doing this one at a time, let's see if we can't generate a go through row by row and sort of see if we can't flag the problems as they come up rather than doing it one at a time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, I'm going to click here, right click, hit insert, and the formula I'm going to use, the first one is number. We just looked at this one, so it should be pretty familiar. The value I want to look at is that guy right there. I'm going to hit enter, and double click to send it down, and oh, there's my other problem. Okay, well, that was kind of useful, but let's look at another construction. This guy is going to do the same thing, but it's going to be a bit more rigorous. Because this is only going to ask, is it a number? I'm going to go check right now to see if it's a number that we would expect a date to be. So my formula is going to be equals and, open parentheses, I'm going to do 10 to the 4 is less than this guy right here, comma, and this guy right here is less than 10 to the 5th. And what these guys are right here, I'll show you in a second, is this guy corresponds to a date sometime in 1927, and this guy corresponds to a date sometime, I don't know, I think it's like 2175 or something like that. So not only will this check to see is it a number, if it's not a number at all, it's going to give you an error, but it's also going to make sure it's a date that you would expect, as opposed to like 1901 or something like that. Because if somebody just entered the number 5 somewhere, you'd get a date like that. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to double click to send it down. And again, we have a false. Now watch here. I'm going to enter a date, and it's going to be a silly date, and we're going to see it's going to make sense in a second. So if I enter the date 1, I get January 1st, 1900. Now this is technically a date, it is technically a number, but it's not a date within a range that we expect. So we get a false here, which is handy. So we could see potential things that are entered as dates, but are dates that don't really make any sense. Okay, so that is the most rigorous way to do that. I'm going to come up here and add one little addition to this. I'm going to double negate this, so that, look at that, so that I've got a number. Now again, in Excel, all dates are numbers. All numbers can be represented as dates, or, well, a lot of them can. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-1 to change this into a number formatting. And I'm going to click to close that guy. And now that I've got this highlighted, I'm going to go to conditional formatting, and my very favorite, these little things right here. And I'm going to double click to open those up. So now you can see where your problems are visually. So I'm going to show you one, I think this is probably the best solution, but I'm going to show you one other solution that's not as good, but is, you know, handy to have in your bag of tricks. So I'm going to click right here. I'm going to Control-Shift down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a custom number format to change the color of anything that isn't a number. The way I'm going to do that is, like I just showed you, I'm going to click up here, Control-Shift down. I'm going to hit Control-1 to go into custom formatting. And here in the custom formatting dialog box, we've already got a custom number format because I've already entered one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do semicolon, semicolon, semicolon. Let's see if I got that right. Yep. And open square bracket, red, close square bracket, open quotation mark, TEXT, close quotation mark. And the way this works is when Excel goes to render any value, it's going to render it in one of up to 4 ways. The first way is, this is over here is how it renders it when it's positive. The semicolon is the separator, and so between these guys here and this little region right here, this is where you would be if you wanted special instructions for rendering it when the value is negative. And between the second and third semicolon is how you'd like to render the value if it's 0. And past the third semicolon, that's how you like to render the value if it was text. So I've got, what I've told it here right now is I want to render anything that's text. I want to use the text string text in it, and I want that to be the color red. I can also, if I wanted to, if I used an @ symbol, this would show whatever text is in the is actually in the cell as a value. So I'm going to add a space there so you can see what that looks like. Alright, I'm going to hit OK. Double click to open this guy, and you can see right there where we have a problem, it's changed the color of the cell, and it's added the text string that I told it to add text right there before it. So that's another visual indication of where you have a problem. Once again, you double click, I delete that. So now when I hit enter, Excel will properly be able to understand that as a real date. Click, and now my little error flag went away. This became true. It can't find the wildcard string in the column, and so everything is as it should be. Okay. Oh, and our little sum if calculation is working just fine. So I hope you found that useful. I will see you next time.